Turn off the lights and I glow. I hope the ISO is correct. Hey beer lovers and beer fans all over the world, if you like beer reviews, please subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. I never say that at the beginning of these things, and I'm going to try and remember going forward. My name's Steve Giguere, and in this beer review, I'm going to be looking at a very unique offering that was given to me by a friend again. It's called Jackhammer, and it's by BrewDog. I'll go grab it here, but first, let's take a look at it in the beer can. Yeah, I've got the beer can built into the fridge now, which is kind of cool and kind of geeky, right? All right, let's get it out of the fridge. I've got a tasting glass here, which is actually a Glenfiddich glass, but some whiskey glasses are also good for beer. Let's put it just there. So what's unique about this, and I didn't know much about it, I remember it being given this when it first came out years ago and not really acknowledging its existence fairly. It is, well, let's just read what the can says, right? It's Jackhammer by BrewDog, to the bitter end. And it is a 7.2%, but that's not the shocking part. The shocking part is its IBU value. Now, I know I did a video on IBUs, you can check that out, but an IBU of 250 is theoretically beyond the palate. Actually, it's on the edge of what you can possibly consider. And what was interesting about it, I thought, was how did they get it up to 250? Very rarely in these sort of novelty beers do you see it calculated in a way that's meant to still be refreshing or good, or, you know, a beer you'd actually want to drink. It's just more of a challenge. And I took a look at, the good thing about BrewDog is that this came out kind of just before they published a lot of their recipes online in sort of an open source way, which meant you could go find out how they got it there. And I remember looking at the hop profile and thinking, it's just got Centennial and Columbus hops. And Centennial is like Super Cascade, it's often referred to like that, and Columbus hops. Columbus is kind of interesting in that it falls into a weird group, which was like Columbus, Tomahawk, and Zeus. In fact, you sometimes see it referred to as CTZ in hops listings. And it has a very high alpha acid content, and I thought, okay, that must be it. Looked at the recipe, I think it's like 25 grams of Centennial and 30 grams of Columbus in the bittering phase. And I thought, how do you get 300 or 250 IBU? It doesn't make any sense. Until I took a second look and I saw that they were using Columbus extract. That's like injecting it into your, just shooting some hops right up your veins. And roughly speaking, if it's 30 grams of extract or mil of extract, that's like injecting 300 IBU into the beer. So, and that's really rough, right? I mean, it got to 250, so I'm probably exaggerating, but that's great. I get it. I get how they did it. Plus, there's a whole laundry list of other hops that go in later and aromas and flavors that show they actually cared about the end result, which was nice. So obviously, I was curious to kind of put my beer hat on and try it. So that's pretty good, right? So there's the intro. BrewDog, I always think I describe BrewDog as a brewery. They're based up in Aberdeen, and they have a bizarre history in the UK. They started out in 2007, a few years after I moved to England, and they were heralded as this sort of like amazing thing that everyone was amazed. Like, it was, when I moved here, it was very hard to get craft beer, and then suddenly 7 years later, we were no longer just tasting bitters and traditional real ales, and BrewDog shook things up. They legitimately did shake things up, and for the better. And then things started to change, and they had some investment from overseas, and opinions changed, and they really divide people. But what I do still like about them is that when you really look at their recipes, they're not cutting corners, like they are trying, and there's some complexity there. And I think this is part of that. You know, love them or hate them, this is an interesting beer that I'm going to try now. So I'm going to give it a little tap, and we're going to dive on in. So the original gravity on this is 1065. It's very similar to the OG Hazy that I tried recently, which I was like kind of a mixed review on. Same end alcohol level. Grab my glass. So I get a little smell. It's actually really nice on the nose. It's really fruity. It's, if someone poured it, if someone just said smell that, never a good thing. Someone just said smell that, you'd think, yeah, it's a nice, kind of quite tropical, fruity, citrusy. Well, Columbus can have all sorts of flavors like licorice and other things, but I think that's to do with the pininess potential. I think it's good. Yeah. Wow. People consider when you bite into a lemon, you get bitter, right? In this particular case, you get, I don't want to say like a, if I were to go outside my house right now and get a pint glass and fill it with the cedar trees that are lining my yard and take it and maybe put it in a blender and give it a good chew, that would be, we're on the edge. Hold on. Let me just have another go while I pour this into a glass. It's hard, but it's not intolerable. So imagine, when you try a wine, you give it a good swish and just accept your fate in a way. So there it is in a glass. In spite of its similar characteristics to the OG in terms of just basic stats, it's very clear. It's using extra pale malt, which I do like that when you're talking about hop forward, use an extra pale malt. It's going to be super hop forward. Oh, Chewy, you would hate this. Seriously. I actually like it. So when you get the first sip passes your palate, it's not a million miles, like, it doesn't feel overwhelmingly bitter. And this is where we're talking about, like, does IBU, can you even perceive it? The malt does contribute to perceived bitterness. Somebody commented on one of my my IBU video actually about, you've got to talk about relative perceived bitterness and all of these things to do with gravity and malt, and they are correct. They are absolutely correct in saying that. And so this has a very low complexity in terms of that. So it's just straight up hop perception. So I'm just relying. It's not like I can't drink it. It's good. If you like things that are bitter, like dandelion, I don't know if you get that in anywhere else in the world, but dandelion and burdock, or that kind of remove the sweetness, that's what you've got. I'm not getting, it's resinous, of course. Columbus has actually an above average alpha acid as well. And yeah, I'm just going to go with, it's a really hoppy, slightly complex, beautiful nose and aggressive bitter. And it's good. I don't think it's everybody's cup of tea, but I'm going to go ahead and rate it now. All right. So is it accurate that it's a jackhammer to the bitter end? I don't know how they can make it more bitter. And having had the insane 3000 IBU McKellar once, it's not a mile off. It's close. So I'm going to give them a 4 on accuracy on this one. In terms of, is it unique? Yeah, I think anybody who attempts like a challenge like this gets points for unique. So I'm going to go with 4 on unique, which puts them up to an 8. Packaging and art, BrewDog kind of like, they're just going for marketing, right? They're not trying to get my attention. They already have enough fame and, I'd say, shelf space in the stores to get your attention. Jackhammer is a good title for it, for sure. So I'm going to give them average on that. So 3s and 3s, which gets them up to 14 already. And that just comes down to, do I like it? Starting at 14. And I'm going to be completely blunt. I do like it, actually. It's dangerous at 6.2. The bitterness means I'll drink it slowly, which I do like. I don't mind that it's in a big can, although I think it's a bit over the top. And I think I'm going to go with an 8, which I'm even kind of surprised. But I gave the OG, I think, a 7. It's better than the OG. If I could go 8.5, I would. I'm not going 9. So I feel good at 8, which gives it a 22, which is, that's going to be like a 3.75 on Untapped. I think I'm going to stand by that. I like it. If I had more than one, I would have more than one. Not more than 2, but more than 1 for sure. I would do that. All right. I kind of like it. That was BrewDog's Jackhammer. My name's Steve Giguere. This is a BeerNative beer review. Please tell your friends about the channel. Write a comment. If you've got another like crazy IBU challenge beer, other than the McKellar 3000 and this one at 250, yeah, tell me about it. Tell me, particularly if you comment and you can put a link to where I can buy it in the UK, I will buy it and I will credit you for being the inspiration for that review. So thanks for watching. Keep drinking great beer. Hey, you're still here. Amazing. Subscribe to the channel and you'll be alerted every time I release a new beer review or my different insights into what makes beer great. Thanks for watching.